those who were involved in making it come to life. Join us as we go behind the door.
Good evening and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Door with the Grey Rooms podcast. I'm your host, Brooks Bigley, and returning tonight is the author of Season 3, Episode 19, Arthur Unk, who saved the best for last, if it was even worth saving. How are you this evening, Arthur?
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm in my front yard right now underneath a starry sky.
Now, can you explain how you're sitting in your front yard right now? Like, how is your setup right now that you're talking to me?
Well, I have a very nice wicker and glass table that my laptop is sitting on. I have a sleeping wife in the house. I have crickets all around me and clear skies. So I'm doing pretty good.
There could not be a more beautiful interview. I like your ambiance there. I'm just stuck in my house right now in the living room. So you're having an infinitely better time.
Yeah, if you hear the coyotes come and drag me away, just we'll consider that the end and just roll with what you got.
Oh yeah, that would be perfect. I mean, how else to end the season than the death of one of the authors? I mean, that's amazing. Let's do that. I mean, can you maybe taunt some of the coyotes? We need some action here.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. We'll see how it goes.
So, Arthur, you basically like knew that this story was going to go at the end of the season, right? And you just kind of wanted to like write this like big ass story that was just going to be the end all of everything. Like, how in the hell did you come up with this story, my friend? How did you do this?
Well, 2019 was a pretty hard year for me. I mean, we're talking multiple deaths, just not in the right frame of mind. I didn't really write anything for 2019 except this story. This story was literally the only thing that I wrote in 2019. It was kind of a catharsis almost. I was just like, I'm not in a good place. I'm not doing what I love. Everything was just looking downwards as far as writing goes. And I was like, you know what? I need to jump back on that horse. I need to get back on it again. So this was literally the first thing I wrote for 2019. And I wrote it in December of 2019. And I submitted it in December of 2019, way ahead of the submissions beforehand. So
wait, so you wrote this even before the drama that the rest of the world went through, basically?
Yeah, this was before we even knew the words, COVID would belong in a sentence, or before I thought a Corona was just a beer. And this was, like I said, it was just me getting back into it. And the best way that I could do that was to return to something familiar. And that's basically what this story was about, essentially, for me, at least from a writing perspective, was returning to something familiar. I missed out on season 2 as it was happening. So kind of like in that November time frame, I caught up on everything season 2. And I was just like, man, I missed out on so much. I want to get back into it for season 3. And I started catching up in 2019 and through 2020, after everything ended, just catching up with the season 2. And I was like, all right, I need to get back on this horse. So returning back to something familiar, though, for this story, it was just a familiar theme. And it was just, I don't know. I wanted to take elements from my horror history, so to speak, and just write something that felt familiar. And this story felt very familiar to me as I was writing it, because it included so many elements that if you read a lot, you know what you like to read. So I was like, I'm going to write something that I would like to read. And that's where the story came from. It was just a familiarity from all these different areas of that I've experienced within horror, whether it be from reading it or watching it.
Yeah, the story was like a marriage of like, I mean, you've got your cosmic horror because Cthulhu. There was like, I hesitate saying a religious aspect, but definitely religious elements just in terms of kind of like, he's a demon slayer, like acknowledging that there are, there's a heaven and a hell and this and that. And also that kind of harkened back to just, when you did the ride, episode 6 of the season, almost like you're kind of in this vein of religious horror. I don't even know if that is definitely a stark difference from like this like alien zombie vibe that we got from you in season 1. It is almost like you had this massive world written inside your head, developed inside your head, and then you kind of just wrote out like bits of it. You gave us this one demon slayer and just this one situation where he kind of helps out the world. But I feel like you have a greater world going on here. I mean, is that, whether you've written that or not, is that true? Like in your mind that you kind of had a bigger story going, you're just kind of parsing out little pieces of it to us?
Absolutely. If you remember what we talked about last time, that I kind of had a novella series in the works, this story was actually the inspiration for me to write my novella series. When I sent it off to a friend saying, "Hey, could you look over this and kind of tell me what's wrong, or do you notice any plot holes that I can fill in or whatever?" And this is also a similar friend, the same friend that I sent the novella to, and he's like, "Didn't I read this already?" And I'm like, "Well, yes, but it's not what you're thinking it is." So it did spawn a greater world, and is going to be that novella that I'm writing right now.
Okay, cool. So you definitely have plans for kind of this revealing bits and pieces. You definitely have a larger world that you're working with here, like that you can kind of pull stories from, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, it also had a brief callback to my season 1, episode 6 story, uh, when the two characters were talking about, "Hey, you remember when I saved you from freezing in the Arctic?" I had this whole backstory invented where Giuseppe actually went to the site where Ice Station Bravo took place, and he was the one that cleansed the site and took care of everything there. So when you hear him talking about that stuff that happened in the Arctic, that was kind of like me doing a wink, wink, nudge, nudge that, hey, this is same place as Ice Station Bravo, at least same world anyway.
I got the impression like Giuseppe was kind of like the spiritual Men in Black, like taking care of like the underbelly of the world that maybe most people didn't know about. I don't know, because you did definitely focus really well specifically on just like this day in the life of Giuseppe. He didn't spend too much time describing the world at large, but you definitely got the inference of like what was going on in the world. The gods and demons being real, but the gods being dead. Like, who the fuck knows who is in control of this world that Giuseppe lives in? But Giuseppe's job is basically to just go through and cull, the evilness, from humanity, I guess.
Yeah, one of the great challenges of writing for the Grey Rooms is I have about 3,000 words to give a story. So it's like, what do I include? What do I not include? And me being who I am, the first draft I write of anything is usually around 10 to 15,000 words. So having to cut 10 to 15,000 words down to 3,000, you have a pretty good idea of locations, character, and you boil it down to just the essentials. It's like, okay, what does this story need to focus on? Do I really need, like, I was surprised, me and Zinky went back and forth a couple times, because I'm like, how much do I include about his past? How much do I include about the place where he's in? And it seemed like, at least Michael made it seem to me that it was just a great back and forth on working with me, like, what do you want to include in, but we need to fit it in this time frame. So it was kind of like, what's important. And from my history of writing flash fiction and drabbles and short stories and stuff, it kind of reinforced that. So I was like, I was happy in the end of what was kept, but I was talking with somebody a couple days ago. I was like, you would not believe what was left on the cutting room floor. I mean, you could probably make a novel or a novella out of it.
Right. But that serves the story, I think, because, if you're left wondering, I don't understand, why did this happen? I don't understand what this character was thinking. I don't understand. Like, if someone's saying I don't understand because they feel like they're not getting enough information, then you kind of maybe failed at it. But if someone's saying, oh my God, I want to know more about why this, oh my God, I want to know more about, what this person is insinuating or what caused this to happen, I feel like you've hit gold. You've kind of been able to shave off what is needed to keep the vehicle going forward, but also to still tantalize the listener, the reader, to want to know more versus just being confused, like, oh shit, you cut out all the wrong parts, or, what you cut out makes me not understand what's going on here. So for sure you whittled it down, in the correct way, that this really does open, I think, the listener's mind to wanting to quest for, like you said, this novella that you're writing, this larger world that you're trying to reveal. You're just kind of parsing out little bits and pieces here. So, fantastic job, man.
And with the with my story, I don't really recall, but I'm fairly certain that this is one of the first Grey Room stories to actually start with a flashback right up front, because I do kind of a flashback to him training with his mentor, kind of showing in the beginning, having to build that resiliency. And that part was so crucial because at the end of the story, it came into play. Like, if his master wasn't so hard on him in the beginning, he wouldn't have been able to uh, do what he did at the end to save the world. So.
Oh yes, absolutely. I agree. Like, by doing that, you really showed that the character of Giuseppe was very tempered. Like, he questioned himself, in the beginning, which is a beautiful thing, because if you hearken back to, The Ride, episode 6 that you did, man, your character was so full of himself and just so confident with, like, just a whole bunch of air he was confident with. It was just all hot air. Whereas Giuseppe in this story, like, really kind of understood he wasn't the best at anything, but he was trying at it, like he was just doing what needed to be done. There was no like nose pointed at the sky in terms of his personality, versus the fun that we had listening to The Ride, where, God, your character was just so full of himself. And then his death was just like, of course you died that way. You were full of yourself. So, yeah. And I totally love Giuseppe's character. He was very tempered. He was very... he wasn't insecure, but he definitely was very wary of, like, the realness of what was going on around him, and like
that comes from the experience. Because I said, in the story, I was like, he's like, I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and if you do any job for that length of time, you're just exposed to so much, and we don't. It harkens back all the way to, like, even like my grandfather. My grandfather's seen so much in this world that even if he had 2 lifetimes, he probably couldn't explain it to me. But, once you've done something so much, he's just aware. He's confident, but he's fully aware of what he can and can't do. So he don't have that young pride anymore. He's like, okay, I'm a little bit more experienced. I'm not just gonna run in and be crazy.
Right, like that false bravado. Yeah. Your character in The Ride. I'm sorry we keep going back to that, but it's so fun to kind of compare the two. Your character in The Ride, episode 6, was so full of this false bravado. It was like his well, it seemed like it was like his first or second or third thing that he was doing, working for whatever, ultimate purpose he was working for. But like as you said, Giuseppe in this episode, very tempered, very metered, just used to what's going on, not sure of himself per se, but still confident that at least he could get the job done, or at least he thinks that he can attempt to get the job done. So, man, kudos to you.
And as far as some of the other influences that I was going for, I kind of went for a little more Clive Barker versus Mr. Howard Philip Lovecraft there. I really just pulled in Cthulhu just for name recognition because, I mean, honestly, I'm a fan of Lovecraft, but I am by no means, an expert. I don't get wrapped around the axles about, talking about Lovecraft. So I just brought it in. I just brought the Lovecraftian monster Cthulhu in just as a monster. Not in the traditional Lovecraft sense, but more in the Clive Barker sense. Yeah, you get the chains and hooks. You get a familiar name with it, and it's. If I had one regret about that story, I probably would have changed the name of the monster, but it was just I couldn't help myself. I had to show some love to H.P. Lovecraft because I enjoy his stories.
Well, also that let Cassie make that beautiful artwork, of the woman, or the representation of Cthulhu as a woman, standing in the church, but still with the Cthulhu head and the tentacles and whatnot. So,
and the fact that I consciously chose for it to be female too. So that was kind of one of the themes that was running kind of throughout that story, because there's one line where Giuseppe's kind of monologuing, talking about God, and in one sentence he says he, but in the next sentence he says she, and in the next sentence he says they, kind of covering all three aspects, saying no matter what you believe, you're wrong. This is what's actually happening.
right. Well, he, she, they, it's all human concepts, and even between humans, it's a fluid concept. So of course, who knows what the hell, there would be no concept of a he or a she, in the higher realm of demons and angels and all that kind of stuff per se, I guess. It's just a projection for us humans to understand.
And the headspace where I was at, I was just angry anyway at everything. So I was like, whatever. I'm going, all out, guns on the table. I don't care. I'm writing it.
Right. So can I ask you though, yeah, again, you're the author, you don't have to reveal this, but like this weapon, this ball, the softball sized weapon that Michael, forget what, did Michael give it to Giuseppe, or yeah, because he came into the church and then somehow Giuseppe got it from Michael, right? Because Michael died. Michael was killed by Cthulhu.
Correct.
But it was like it doesn't even matter what the weapon was, but it sounds like a badass weapon. It was like a black hole generator. Like you did like a vague explanation of what it was. But my burning question, and you do not have to answer this, but my burning question is like a world worth saving. But did Giuseppe actually set the kitchen on fire, right, to stop a smaller, did he blow up the world to stop Cthulhu? Did he kill everything to stop Cthulhu? Like, I don't know, I got this impression that he was saving the world, but he also did it by destroying the world. And that could be my complete, naive own interpretation here. But as an author, like, what were you going for with that? Did he ultimately defeat Cthulhu? Like, that's got cosmic ramifications all over the place.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing that when you write something, no matter your intention, it can take on so many forms. Once you hit publish and it's out there in the world, I mean, it belongs to the public now. No matter my intentions. There's a lot of people that would not want me to answer your question because they think the same way you do. It's like, I like the story the way it is. I don't need it to change. And then there's other people like, no, you need to tell me because I just don't know. And the only way I'm going to know is if you ask and if you answer. Um, so I mean, I will answer it because that's kind of the whole point of this. My intentions when I wrote it was that it was just going to be that town. So when the in the original draft when I wrote it, it was just the town that got consumed because in my original draft, I'm talking first draft here. Um, Giuseppe thinks that he defeats Cthulhu, and he kind of traps him within himself, and he's like, I'm going to carry this burden for the world. And then all of a sudden, Cthulhu is a cosmic entity. Yeah, you surprised him, but you're not going to defeat him. So in the original draft, Cthulhu starts taking over Giuseppe's body. And the only way that he can defeat this monster is if he destroys himself, because his friend's dead, the town's dead. So he's like, it don't really matter if this town or this place goes. So that's why he detonates it, because it's kind of like he's sacrificing himself, because he knows that's what'll send Cthulhu back to the void.
In a roundabout way, that's also what ultimate love is, man. Ultimate love is sacrifice, right? The highest form of love is sacrifice. And Giuseppe sacrificed everything of his own, to defeat this monster, basically. But yeah, you did a great job of leaving it. I don't want to say leaving it open, but leaving it in a way that the listener, the reader, could kind of, this is what I think happened, or this is what I feel should have happened, versus really just kind of laying it down in concrete.
Yeah, and that's 100% valid, because, I mean, if me and you listen to the same song, you may interpret it one way and I may interpret it another, but the author's original intention may be something else. But what it means to us in that moment, that's what matters.
Right, yeah, and it's beautiful when you can paint a picture that has multiple interpretations versus like, no, this is definitely what I painted, and if you see something different, that's not what I painted. Like, that's a terrible painting. The painting should be open for interpretation, in my opinion. So
yeah, and not to change the subject, but I do see movement out in the field.
Do you have coyotes out there?
Remember the coyote theory we were talking about earlier?
Mm-hmm. So can you do a basic call to them? Just kind of get them to get closer to you, so you can let us all know live what's going on in your backyard there.
Oh my God! So just to be clear, you want me to call to wild animals to come to me?
Yes, absolutely. Can you not do that? I mean, come on. I mean, I'm here with you in spirit, so please, this is live. Come on, let's just go for the gusto, man. That could be Cthulhu. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'd embrace your destiny. Come on, man.
We'll see what it is.
Also, if you have to go inside, I totally understand.
No, if I go inside, I'll wake up the wife, and that's even worse. So.
Oh my God, that's way worse than coyotes. Never mind.
Okay, here we go. Hold on. Here we go.
Oh, this is live, everybody. We're about to find out. Now, if they respond back,
I'm listening. I'm just hearing crickets.
well, that's usually what happens in horror movies right before the protagonist dies. So it was nice knowing you, Arthur. We'll write a beautiful eulogy for you.
I'm hearing crickets, so that's a good sign.
Okay. There are coyotes that live basically in the whole county of where I live, and so far to this day, someone's been bitten by a coyote, but they've never attacked anybody. They're still very not at peace with humans, but they just are kind of living in the same space, I guess. So I think you're okay. I.e., I hope you're okay.
Yeah, well, there's some neighborhood cats running around too. So if anything interesting happens, I'll keep you updated.
So we have some comments actually, because I'll preface that on our Discord, you are very engaged and very involved with fans and other authors and basically everyone that loves the Grey Rooms that comes and hangs out in our Discord. You are definitely a shining star that is very loud in that room. So we've got a couple of questions from a couple of people that if you want to take a shot at answering anything, are you down for that?
I'm a pretty open person, and our Discord members are some of the best people I've ever had conversations with. So if they have questions, I have the answers.
Okay, so Jason Porras, also a phenomenal author from the first episode of this season, asks you, is the world really worth saving, though? Like, why not give the monsters outside time a chance?
Well, I got a few theories on that. I have this little place out by me called the Dairy Barn that serves the best strawberry ice cream, and I would definitely go to war if I couldn't have that strawberry ice cream.
That is worth saving.
Yeah, that is definitely worth saving.
It's the little things.
Yeah. On the other note, I just feel like I have more left to do. Like, I know the world is big, and I have a small part in it, but I enjoy the role that I play. Uh, I enjoy the things I'm learning. I enjoy the people I talk to, even the ones that annoy me, because I'm always learning something, and that to me it makes it worth it. I got limited time on this place, and if I can experience something, if I can learn something new, that's worth saving to me every single time.
Absolutely. Every interaction with anybody can teach you a lesson, can show you a side of things that you haven't seen or thought before. I mean, for sure, every day that we go, any interaction is a chance to just get to know another human a little bit better and just kind of understand this crazy fucked up world that we live in and why we are bouncing off of all each other and interacting with each other, just vibing towards something better. So, yeah, man, let's save all the strawberry ice cream.
Yeah, I love that human experience. That's what it comes down to. I learn from the good just as well as from the bad. Either I learn what I want or I learn what I don't want. So either way, I'm learning.
Absolutely. I like that. There you go. Question number 1 answered perfectly. Let's go to another question. Jacobot Snows, which also Jacobot Snows wrote our...
Yeah, it was the one with the ship and the AI.
Yes,
he was the one that broke
yes.
Beckett, I think, was what you guys...
Yes. Hashtag broke Beckett. I broke Beckett. Thank you, Jacobot Snows. So they asked, what was the inspiration behind this story, and did it have a personal meaning to you?
I think we kind of covered that in the beginning. But just to reiterate, it was kind of my love letter to horror and just jumping back in after having a really shitty year. It was just, it felt good to write, and it was cathartic in a way to write, because I got to include a really solid character in my mind, a really messed up situation. The town came from my own traveling throughout Europe, because that's kind of the vision I had in my head, was that this took place over in Europe. That's why Giuseppe was assigned the case, because he primarily worked that European scene. So I had a little European town in mind. It was just experiences from my life, and like I said, just a love letter to horror, primarily Clive Barker and H.P. Lovecraft. So it was fun to write.
Any specific European towns in mind?
A lot of my strongest memories come from when I was in Heidelberg, Germany. I was there probably about 3 years ago, and one of the things I appreciate about being over there is everything is close together, and everything just has a rich history around it. You could go to a park and sit on a bench that was around in the 1300s. Who knows how many asses have graced that bench since 1300, but there you are.
Thousands,
Yeah.
millions.
So it was just I write a lot about what I experience, And that's what I've experienced.
So next question comes to us from Mark Taus, who did the last story from the last episode.
Oh God, Mark has a question for me.
Yeah, from author to author.
I love you,
Mark
Mark.
Taus asks, he asks, when it comes to your writing, what is your worst fear? And have you already written a story about it?
Oh my goodness, that does sound like a Mark House question, don't it? Explain the origins of the papacy from its, inception till now. Use complete sentences.
You can do it, Arthur. You got this.
I don't know, because when it comes to my worst fear, I've been exposed to so much, especially through like my military career. I've actually been to war. I've been in situations where I literally don't know if I'm going to wake up the next day. I've been in situations where I've had a weapon pointed at me with actual bullets or rockets or bombs or whatever coming at me. I've been in vehicles that have been attempted to be blown up. So, I got desensitized real fast to the fact that I might not have long on the planet. Uh, so I would probably say my my worst fear would be uh, leaving this planet probably worse than I found it. Like I try so hard to be a positive influence on things. And if I thought that I was bringing negativity into the world to the point where it was affecting change that also affected other people around me, that's just that would be a big fear of mine. I'm so scared of leaving this world worse than I found it.
Yeah, that's a kind of a heavy burden to bear. Like I feel like lots of people actually, might feel that way. Like, what am I leaving? What legacy am I leaving behind if I leave? Like, will people fondly remember me, or, will people be like, oh, that motherfucker's dead now, yay, and then clap, slow clap in the background.
Yeah, I think about my impact on the world a lot. It comes down to what is your purpose on this planet.
Right, right, right. Well, and also, you said something about being kind of desensitized, like just as a horror author, I've kind of brought this up before with other authors that if you're really scared of something, you could write a very convincing horror story because you're kind of just imparting your fear into the story that might match up, and vibe with everyone else who is also fearful. But if you're desensitized to a lot of stuff, how are you able to kind of effectively create something that you think other people will be afraid of? If you yourself are not afraid of it, how are you going to impart that to somebody else? So, do you ever find that that's a problem with you?
I do struggle with that sometimes, but my definition of what is horror helps me out a lot. Um, I've been asked by a lot of people, well, what do you think a horror story is? And my response is usually a horror story, when boiled down to its basic elements, no matter what it is a loss of control. And if I can effectively showcase someone losing control of a situation, which I just got through writing a story where that happens throughout the story. It's a person that's in control of their situation, and then it just spirals all the way out of control until the end. That is a horror story to me, because it's like people want to hold on to things so bad that once they start losing them and they can't stop it, it's like that is scary. And if you're out somewhere with your kid and all of a sudden your kid comes up missing, you've lost your kid. You've lost that control. You don't know where they're at. That's scary. if you encounter a monster that's coming at you and it's stronger, faster, smarter, can do things from the supernatural that you just can't combat, that's scary. If you come up face to face with a serial killer and they just chose you, it's your time. There's not much you can do about it, you know. And it's just that loss of control. That's what I keep coming back to. As a writer, you have to have a certain level of empathy, being able to recognize certain situations. So there are certain movies and shows that I can't watch because my empathetic connection to the people on there, it gets overwhelming, and I'll this is kind of embarrassing to admit, but you know what the hell, you guys deserve this little tidbit.
Do it. Tell us.
I cannot watch The Office.
Oh, why? That's tragic.
I recognize it for what it is, but I literally cannot make it through an episode of The Office because when I look at the character played by Steve Carell,
Oh no.
I get so anxious
Yes, I
whenever I
know what you're
watch
talking
him,
about.
and my anxiety level goes off the chart just looking at that character because I'm like, oh my god, what I can't take it. I'm like, how does he not recognize this situation?
Yeah, it's like
And
this
it just
uncomfortable humor.
it pushes, for whatever reason, it pushes my anxiety level to this point where I can't watch it. I can't enjoy it. It's like torture watching it. I know it's funny, but I can't watch it, and it just, my son makes fun of me, my wife makes fun of me, and I'm just like, whatever. Oh, you can't watch The
Oh,
Office.
120%. I know exactly what you're talking about. This is very uncomfortable. You know what it is though? I think it's like a mirror. You're mirroring yourself. Like that uncomfortableness, like there's got to be something, man. Like when we were kids, like maybe we felt embarrassed about something, right? Like we felt cognizant of like, I don't know, just being aware of people judging us or something. So then we see Michael on The Office. It's like, oh, it like harkens back to some subconscious feeling of just self-consciousness. I don't know. I know what you
It
mean
makes me
though.
feel it makes me feel sometimes like I'm missing out. It's like I can't even accurately comment on the show because it's like I've literally never watched more than 2 complete episodes because by the third episode of the first season, I'm just like I'm done. I'm a wreck. I can't even watch the classic episodes because I'm just, you know, it just mortifies me and I can't do it.
So you know now what your homework is to do, right? Is that you need to watch from season 1, episode 1, every episode, and you need to feel those emotions and need to watch him blunder through his whole fucking life on the show. And I promise you're going to feel better. But you got to embrace that shit.
All right, I'd like to change my answer on my what scares me the most because
Watching The Office.
I don't know how long I could sustain that level of anxiety, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's like
It's so
that's
sad because I mean, I've situations where I've literally seen people missing body parts. I've literally held a human jaw in my hand as I wrapped gauze around it. I've held the tongue while we're sticking the intubation tube in. I've been bedside at open heart surgery. I've seen firsthand what happens when a person steps on a landmine, but I can't watch The Office.
right. You can't watch Michael Scott.
And if you choose to edit that piece out, I wouldn't blame you. But if you leave it in,
I ain't
I'm
editing
still
shit,
not
my
gonna
friend. Come on now. Well,
oh my god,
let's
where are those coyotes at? Oh, come take me away, please. I don't even see him across the field anymore. Oh my
everybody
god.
rest in peace, Arthur Unk. He was taken by coyotes, and this is his last interview.
No, I got lots more writing that I'm doing. So
Oh, of course. Well, okay, so speaking of, can you let us know, as we kind of wrap this up here, like let us know like anything that you're working on or that you're kind of, speculating that is going to come out soon by you, anything? What are you working on, right? What are you doing? What's your future plans?
Right now, I've got a couple requests in right now of people that want me to write short stories for their anthologies. So I'm working on that. One of them is kind of a literary fiction, kind of a slice of life with a focus on summertime. So it's going to be kind of I haven't decided whether I'm going to go happy-go-lucky or try to dip my toes back into romance again. But it's going to be something with the theme of summertime. So maybe I'll submit a summertime horror. I don't know.
Man, can you
But
describe what the hell is a summertime horror? Like, come on. Can you be more specific? What is a summertime horror? What does that even mean?
well, when I figure that out, I'll know what I'm writing. If I do a summertime
Okay.
horror, it could be. I'm not even going to speculate right now because anything I say would be complete. I'm going to use the big word here, blatherskite. So there you go. The other thing I'm working on is it's not really a secret project, but I've been approached to maybe do a mini series for a podcast. So I got that kind of in the works. So
Are you able to talk about it at all, or do we have to be hush hush about this?
I don't know if you have to be hush hush about it, but it's just something that I haven't even gotten. If my pitch gets approved, I'll start writing it. But if so, I may be able to announce sooner rather than later that I'll be authoring my own little 5 to 6 episode miniseries. So, and it will be horror themed.
Excellent. Well, it definitely won't be like summertime romance, so that's good.
No, it'll be more like Michael Douglas from Falling Down meets Christian Bale from American Psycho.
That is a crazy mashup right there, because both are sadistic and, well, I guess Christian Bale's American Psycho is way more sadistic, whereas Michael Douglas's Falling Down is just like what we all kind of feel on a daily basis, I guess. Like, I want my motherfucking Big Mac to look like it does in the picture. Why the fuck can't I have that Big Mac? So we all feel that pain.
Yeah, if anybody out there within the reach of my voice has not seen the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas, please shut this off. Go watch it right now.
Right, don't do anything else. Quit your job, go watch the movie. There's nothing.
Exactly. Don't do anything else until you watch this movie. It is absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us tonight and proving that the underdog always has a chance at defeating the heavyweight. I appreciate you taking the time to sit and chat, Arthur, and I thank you for sharing your world with us here in the Grey Rooms.
Absolutely. And, oh, crap. What's that out there in the woods? It just...
Like 5 coyotes.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Oh, it's happening. He's gonna be taken by the coyotes. Oh. Well, it was really nice knowing Arthur Unk, everybody. We all will show up for his funeral. We will have a very nice eulogy to present. I'm very glad
and
that
following on at Arthur Unk tweets on Twitter.
Yes.
You'll get poetry, and also on our Discord. If you go in the club room, I post bad poetry in there too.
Oh, it ain't bad. Shut up. Keep your mouth quiet. Come on, man. Yes, if anybody wants to interact with you, Discord is a perfect place. We have links in the show notes. You are a fantastic member, of our Discord. Really appreciate just how you treat everybody, how you help everybody, how you uplift, the spirit of our community. So you're doing everything right, my friend. You're doing everything right.
It takes a village, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Hell yeah. And as usual, the biggest thank you goes out to our fans and followers who listen daily and spread the good word of Bob. #StayGray. Take care and enjoy your evening, Arthur.
Good night, everybody.
And good night, folks. Bye.
Join us each week after every episode for another edition of Behind the Door.